Hello everyone and welcome back to Mummy Means Business. Today we'll be talking about all things work, family and having an entrepreneurial mindset, especially as mums. Actually the other day I was watching a video and it's actually on YouTube and it's called The World's Toughest Job. And the role was called the Director of Operations, and they had a list of responsibilities and skills that whoever was looking for the job needed to have. And some of them included that you needed to be on your feet for 24/7 of the day, throughout the week with no breaks. You need to have excellent negotiation skills, and you also needed a degree in medicine, in fine arts and culinary. And all the people who were actually interviewing for the job were like, no, this is absurd. This is inhumane. How can I be on my feet 24/7 with no breaks? Why do I need all of this degrees and courses and educational things that in order for me to have this job? And actually at the end of the video there was actually even a woman that was saying, I don't actually want to apply for this job anymore. I'm happy to not to be interviewed anymore. And at the end of it, the interviewer mentioned that the role was being a mother. And he said that obviously as a mum, all mums have all of these skills, and they do their job happily 24/7, looking after their child with no breaks. Sometimes they need to be there for their child constantly. And it made me think, as mums, you already have like built-in skills and built-in tools to have a business and to be an entrepreneur. And some of the most successful businesses, some who actually go on to make millions, have come from mums. So I thought it would be great to have someone who has this entrepreneurial mindset, who I've known for a long time, and I've actually seen she's the type of person that she's a go-getter, and she's someone who thinks of something and actually does it successfully. So I'm really excited to have Naomie on with us today. Naomie is actually a mother of two. She works for a financial firm, and she also runs two companies. One is an event company which they run a quarterly Christian games night called You Got Game, where you can find them on Instagram at YouGot_game, and the U is with a letter U rather than the YOU. And she also runs another company which is a wedding and events company called Platinum Events Planning, where they help with any events that you have, whether it's birthdays, weddings, any celebration. They're happy to kind of help and give a helping hand. And you can also find them on Instagram at platinumeventplanning_. So yes, thank you so much, Naomie, for being on board. I know you're a bit nervous, but it should be fine.
A bit. Oh, thank you so much, Victoria. I'm super nervous, but I really, really, really like your podcast, and you've had such amazing people come on here and speak, so I'm truly honoured. So yay.
Yeah, you're one of those amazing people. So first of all, before we kind of get into your life as a working mum, as an entrepreneur, what is the best thing to you about being a mum? Because obviously now you're a mum of two. Oh my gosh, two. That's a lot. So what's the best thing to you about being a mum?
About being a mum, oh gosh, there's so many things. I don't even know how I'd pick a couple of them. But I guess it's just, you can probably hear her in the background making little noises, because she always wants to be around me. So she's 5 months old, what I would just say, and I got another one who's 2. And I guess the best thing about them is, best thing about being a mum is just having that person who that you're going to impart so much into, and that's going to affect everything about them growing up. I guess when we become parents, that's when we kind of look back at our parents and we're like, wow, I totally get everything you've sort of done and sort of put in me, because you just see how important it is that you've really been entrusted with such a huge deal. So the best thing for me is just thinking about that and being able to know that the decisions I make and choices and stuff is actually going to affect like a little human being and just pattern their life and set them up and stuff. So it's just an amazing feeling. Just really grateful for both of them.
Do you know what? It's funny because like my son is turning 1 next week, and not next week, this week, no, in 2 days. Let me not forget. He's gonna be 1, which is crazy. But I was talking to my husband and we were saying that this last year is literally just been to keep him alive. Like, the first year is just to make sure that they're alive, make sure they're fed, they don't fall on the floor. But now, after 1, it's now you have to actually teach them. Like I need to analyze my life and make sure that I'm, 100%, because I know he's going to be watching me and following everything that we do. So it's literally now about teaching and really imparting something, which is the most fun. I think that's probably going to be the most fun part of being a parent, actually educating them and watching them become like you, because your son is so much like both of you, which is really scary.
It is really scary. And you're right, after the first year, they're like sponges. They just look at you, they copy you. Like, I post some things on WhatsApp sometimes about my son and things that he does, but one of the most shocking things was when he told me my first name and like my husband's first name, and I'm just thinking, where does he get all of this?
You
But it's because
know.
he listens. Yeah, he's listening to people, he's hearing things, and then he's repeating them at optimal times, and then you're just like, oh my gosh, these are like little humans. They're really taking it all in. So yeah, it's a really great
But
feeling, but
obviously,
it's scary.
very scary, and your videos are so cute. Every time I see your name pop up on the WhatsApp stories, I'm like, yeah, let me watch it, because he is a character. But do you feel, obviously, because your wife and your mum and you not only work, a job, but you also have two really amazing businesses. I don't know if any of you have seen it online, but you're actually doing so well in a short space of time. I think you've been running it for only a few years. Do you feel the need to kind of be, well, the best version, or almost be perfect, quote unquote perfect, at those three areas of your life?
Um, well, no, not perfect to be fair. I'm grateful I don't have that pressure. I guess like the pressure of being perfect kind of comes from like people or just the people you have around you and stuff like that. And I'm just really lucky to just say I don't have any external pressures or factors that make me feel like, oh, I've got to do this with perfection, or I've got to do this like over and over again until I get it right. I kind of just go with the flow with a lot of things, to be honest. And it's mainly just like passion, I guess, just the passion to want to do stuff that keeps these kind of things alive. I mean, it is crazy the amount of stuff kind of going on sometimes at home and in work and stuff like that. But just because I love doing it, I think that's what kind of helps me. And of course, whatever you kind of put your mind to do, you want to give it your best shot. You want to do it with excellence. You want to just, go all out. But I don't have any pressures that make me feel like, oh, like I need to be super perfect. Like everything needs to be on point, like laundry, washing up, meetings, emails, like everything. I work a lot with my husband, work together on so many things, and we really, really support each other. So if things are left undone or if something isn't quite finished yet, like we kind of have each other's back in all things, at home, at work, and everything. So I don't have like, thank God anyway, any external kind of factors that make me feel like, oh, like this thing needs to be absolutely perfect. But generally, I've always been someone that if I want to do something, I do want to do it with the best of my ability, and I do want to put my all into it, because otherwise I'm just like, why do it? If I'm going to do it half-heartedly, or if I'm not going to be full on about it, I'd rather just not do it.
Do you know what? That's actually true, because even with me, I'm a new-ish mum, and I have a business as well. But it's like I never feel pressure from external people, but it's always me that puts the pressure on myself sometimes. Because obviously there's going to be points in your life, there's seasons in your life where something's got to give. So I always feel bad. Like I remember in the first 6 months of when I had my baby, I was also doing some, I was working with my company, my PR company, and I was helping some clients, and I felt so bad, having this little newborn, but not really giving him as much attention. But I remember I had to remind myself, and even my husband had to remind me that, it's you that's putting this pressure on yourself. So, as a mom, sometimes you need to take things as it goes. And if something slacks, then it's fine. There's going to be people there to help you and pick up the pieces. But do you think, obviously now you have all of these going, like these three things that you're not juggling, but you're handling. How important is, I think, for a mum, do you think that you need to plan, especially financially plan, your incomes and expenditure, even for your two businesses? Do you sit down, every year and actually make a financial plan of things that you need to spend on, things that you need to save on, where the finance is going to go in terms of your businesses? Or is it something that you kind of go with the flow as it comes along?
Okay, so I think like it's good what you said about the putting pressure on yourself. I definitely think that that's a big thing as well. I remember being when I was about to have my second child, I remember having a wedding booking around the same time that she was due to give birth. That I was due to give birth, and I kept thinking to myself, "Oh my gosh, like how can I do this? How can I serve and help, this couple at their wedding, and then also like have a baby in a short space of time?" And I was trying to put a plan together in my mind, like how could I make this work? And then eventually I was like, look, this is really, really not practical at all. And I just had to kind of speak to the couple and tell them the situation. I think as I was really excited at first for them, and I was like, yes, 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 like whatever date you choose, everything's fine. But then when adding everything up, looking back, like working out my due date and everything, it just wasn't going to work. And I guess, yeah, just because I didn't want to be kind of half-hearted in it, I didn't want to say yes to the booking and then just start kind of working out how I'm going to get other people to help me and stuff like that. I just kind of let them know the situation, and they were like happy that I was just kind of honest about the whole thing and able to kind of say, look, we're not going to be able to help you on this occasion because this is what's going on. Because obviously being a second time mom, I kind of knew like what was going to come after giving birth, because everyone talks about giving birth and all the horror stories or whatever it is that happens, but people not a lot of people talk about what happens afterwards and how you change emotionally and how you've got so much going on. And I didn't want to be like, yeah, let's just push out the baby and back to work. I did want to have time with my child and just be able to enjoy him or her, because I didn't find out what we were having, but I did want to be able to enjoy it. And so the pressures I didn't have, which was to be perfect and do everything so well, was good, because then I was able to just say, look, I don't need to do this. Like I can tell them that we can't help them on this occasion, and then we'll just move on. There's other people out there that will have weddings and events that are a bit of more of a suitable time. So I was able to just kind of let that go. But there was like something in my mind at first that was like, oh no, you can do it, Naomie. You can just, it'll be fine and da, 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 da. But yeah, so it's definitely true. Sometimes we are our worst enemy. We'll just sit there like criticizing ourselves and saying, no, you can do things. You can do multiple things at once. You can multitask. You're a lady. But yeah, sorry. So your question about finances and stuff, I think just from a young age, I've always been someone that likes saving. So I think that's been really helpful for me personally with the businesses. When I was about 16 or 15 or so, I remember my mom, she would literally be pushing me to always go out there, get a job, save up money. She was very, very tough on me about stuff like that. Because she's a big saver, so she always had enough money to support us and stuff because of her sort of savings. So she wanted us to kind of be like her. So when I was about 15 or 16, I got a job at McDonald's, and I remember telling my mom, I was like, "Mommy, I got a job," and she was so proud of me. Like she was so, so happy for me. She never like looked down on it or made me feel like it's not good enough. I think it was like £4 an hour that I was making, but she was so proud, which made me even want to, do more because she was so happy. So I would work quite a lot through college, and I saved up loads of money in those days anyway. It's not a lot of money now. It took like 2 years or so, but I'd saved up enough money, and I didn't really spend much. I didn't really go out loads or spend money on anything great and stuff like that, so that I could buy a car, which was what I really wanted to do. So my mum would kept asking me every like week or month, like, how much have you got now? How much have you got now? And then I think I got to a point where she was really proud. So she was like, okay, I'm gonna add some money to what you've saved up, and we're gonna buy a car. And so because of that achievement at a young age, I always remembered saving was a good thing. So saving to me was always like this good thing that happened to me from a young age. So throughout everything else, I always used to save up. So if I wanted to do something, if I wanted to go on holiday, or if I wanted to buy something, even like a laptop, anything, I'd always be like, okay, remember when you were younger, this is how you did it. So I'd always like save up and save up. So now I'm in this place where my husband, who's got the same sort of mentality, like save and save, we both have like, I don't know, like 15 or so different accounts where we just save up for different random things. And it's really, really, really helpful, because then every time we get paid, the first thing we think about is like, okay, saving for this part, saving for that part, okay, saving for that child, saving for this business. And so when we go to do things for each of the businesses or for our children or just as a family, we've got like an account that's kind of like has that kind of money like sort of given to it. So it makes things a lot easier, because when you do decide to have a business or just kind of want to run with your passions, a lot of it does involve paying for stuff and having to buy things and having to go out there and use your money and stuff like that. So just having that mentality from a young age and enjoying saving, it was so helpful, because I know nowadays people enjoy obviously spending, which is like a lot more fun to do. But like we're just really weird and geeky, and we really enjoy saving and being like, oh, we're saving a lot more than we did last month. Oh, we're saving a lot more than we did last quarter. And I really do owe that to like my mom, who kind of put that in me from a young age, just saying like, you need to save up if you want something in life. No matter how long it takes, you have to save for it. So that was what, yeah, that's literally what my mum taught me. And so with stuff like credit cards and stuff, I didn't really know what all of those things were, because of my mum was so like, if you want something, you save up, and then you buy it. That's it. There's no 2 ways.
100%.
Yeah.
I remember like someone, I think my husband says this as well. He says like, if you want to buy something, you need to have the money to be able to buy it twice before you can even buy it once.
Yeah.
So like if you want to buy something that's £100, rather than using your last £100, you need to at least have £200 saved, so it doesn't hurt you. But literally, I have the same mentality. I remember like in school, I used to get £10 a week for food, because we didn't have like the free school meals, and I used to save up my £10 that week, and if it was someone's birthday, I would give them the £10 as a gift. And I remember me and Maddie, we used to hustle basically to get food. We used to either like find out who wasn't in school that day that got free school meals and pretended to be them, or we'll wait till like everyone's gone and we'll sweet talk the dinner lady to give us food. It was so bad. But yeah, it's good, because even when I was young as well, I worked at McDonald's. I remember I was earning £4.85 an hour. I worked 4 hours a week, and I was literally earning like £50 a month or something stupid like that, or like £100 a month, or no, it was like 80 something pound a month. And I saved up that money, and I saved up my EMA. I got my driving license, and I bought my car as well, all with the money I saved.
Yeah, no, saving is really important, because when we go back to do things business wise, or when we get ideas and stuff, we're able to look into our different accounts and say, okay, well, we can afford to, implement that idea this year, or this half of the year, and stuff like that, because we've saved up towards it. And that's why saving sometimes, even without like a goal of what you're saving for, is really good. Like that, what they say, saving for a rainy day. Like those rainy days, they just come and you're not expecting it. Or even if it's not rainy and it's like you actually have a good idea that you want to implement, but you don't have any reserve anywhere, because you're just spending and spending and spending. It is good to be able to go back into different accounts that you hold and say, look, we've got this little overflow here. Maybe we can work something out and do something different, or grow our business in some way this month. So yeah, no, it is really important.
And having the different accounts is actually really, really good, because we have the same, like we literally have an account for everything, an account for, our food shopping, for our bills, for this saving, for Xavier, for etc. And then sometimes they help, they say that, when you're saving, you need to put it somewhere where you can forget about the money. When you have easy access to the money, sometimes you can spend quickly. So when you have those, 10 or 15 accounts, like you said, you might, in a year's time, you might look and say, oh, actually, there's still like £300 left here that hasn't been touched. We can use this for X, Y, and Z. So yeah, that's a good tip for anyone listening. Open up several accounts and divide your money, and then the rest, whatever you have left, then you can keep and spend.
But, exactly. Save first.
Yes, 100%. But keeping in line with kind of the financial topic, what do you think about financial investments, especially, as having a family and as a mum? There's this thing where someone said that there are 4 different areas of everyone's life. There's either people are in the being self-employed or working a full-time job, which is on like the left side, or they're in the right side, which has been a business owner and being an investor. And the aim is to kind of move from one side to the other side, to kind of be a business owner, even if you don't own a business, but working, but also turning your money into more money, trying to invest. But obviously you work in the financial sector. What is your opinion on that, on investment? And have you got like any tips to share to any of our listeners on that?
Yeah, so I think with the whole sort of saving kind of regime that we have, a few years ago, we were kind of looking at all of these different accounts that I was talking about. And so we were saying, how can we kind of grow the money that we have? Because obviously keeping it is good. It's like the kind of risk averse approach. Just keep your money in a savings account and just kind of keep on going forward and trying to grow it bit by bit. That's like what my mum would kind of teach us anyway. She's very risk averse. She doesn't want to invest in anything. She's just like, let's just save and like keep smiling. No risks, no nothing. Whereas my husband is a little bit more, not risky, but he would like take more of a gamble on trying to make sure that we can increase, not just keeping things in the same, not a gamble, but making sure we can increase our savings rather than just kind of keeping them at that steady pace. So when we had reached a particular goal of ours in our sort of what we call long-term savings, we were saying like, what can we do to kind of invest this money, so that maybe it could work for us in a better way in the future. So about 3 or 4 years ago, we started looking at houses and stuff what we could buy as an investment to keep our money growing, because obviously houses kind of appreciate in value most of the time, whereas like your savings account, most banks are not going to give you much money for keeping your savings in there. It'd be like a really small return every year. So we kind of searched out for different areas, and we ended up buying somewhere where all our family calls in the sticks, because it's like an hour or so away from most like of our family and friends. And for us, it was just important to kind of be on the property ladder and have some sort of an investment elsewhere, even if it was a bit further out. And our goal was just to kind of buy something that's not too expensive, that we can kind of like fix up and maybe rent out. And that way we still have our savings in a property. So not just in an account, but in a property that will hopefully appreciate. And if we ever needed the money, we have something that we could sell and use the money after the selling of a house if we needed to. And it's really funny because now, like fast forward like about 3 or 4 years, the place that we were calling the sticks and so far out, and it's really not
Everyone's
that far
there
anymore
now.
because everyone's kind of moving here.
Yeah.
I'm like 15-20 minutes away from like most things, most people. So it was really good to kind of think outside the box at that time and to do something a little bit different, because when we wanted to buy it as an investment, but then we ended up falling in love with the area and the people, and with all the works that we did, because we put so much effort. Anyone who buys a house knows how much effort goes into the whole process, and then the whole like doing it up and painting everything, and it was just all of that was put into it, and we were like, we've done all of this now, we may as well just live here. So we ended up living here and stuff like that, and turning our other property into somewhere that we could rent, and changing the script a little bit. But the whole process was still, the whole thought behind it was investing our money into property, because we know that that's somewhere that it can grow and it can do well. And so just depending on, I guess, your family scenario and your situation, I think, yeah, it is kind of quite important. Well, it was for us anyway. I mean, if you've got like debts or things to clear, then that's obviously your first investment, and your first priority is just clearing that, and making sure that you're in a good place in that perspective. But if you have got savings, or if you are looking to increase your savings, I think property for us was something that it worked out to be quite good, because when we ended up buying so far out and then it became quite a popular destination, it meant that the value of the house that we bought is now like way more than what we actually paid for it. Yeah, so property is definitely something that we've taken an investment into, and we'd like to continue to do so. And I know there's so much out there. There's like stocks, there's shares, working in the financial industry. I see so many different options, different ways that you can invest. Property is just something that we've taken a liking to, I guess, because of having children. You start thinking forward, like what could we potentially have for a very long time? What could we pass down? What could we store up for them? So that's just been one way that we've chosen to invest so far. I'm sure there's things we'll explore as we get older and stuff like that.
No, do you know what? I didn't really research into property or even, financial investment for a while. And it was only recently after I had my son that my husband and I were speaking. It was like, we need a way that we can tuck away, a large sum of money, and hopefully in a few 10 years, 20 years, or however long, have some return on it. Because actually, when we were looking for a property, the people who owned this property before we moved in, it was their parents' house, and all the kids grew older, and their parents became older, and they got sick, and they had to get moved into old people's home, and they already paid off the mortgage, so they owned this house since when their firstborn was 9 months, and now he's in his 30s, and they had 3 kids, so they already paid off the mortgage completely. And when we bought the house, it was the kids that got the money, because obviously the parents were like, we don't need it. So it was like a way for them to save up money and, say, here you go, here is, a big chunk, you can have a third of whatever the house was worth. And they bought the house for peanuts. I think they bought the house for like 20% of what we bought it for. Like, they bought the house for peanuts basically, and they made so much money back. And then me and my husband were like, this is actually fantastic, because if you think about it, if we save up a strong amount for my son Xavier, rather than put it in a savings, we can literally just buy like a small flat somewhere and just leave and have it for 20 years, and then when he's 20 or 25, he can either sell it and keep the money, or we can just continue on and have the flat foot. But it is a great way to just tuck away your money and just see it grow. So I think that's a good. I know property is not easy to kind of get on, but there are loads of options, and there's places further out, like what you said. Now I bet you'll be able to find it for the prices that you got it for. Because
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's what was attractive to us about property, is that one moment it's something you can afford to buy, and everyone's kind of like rushing and trying to get something. And then you fast forward like even just 5 or 6 years, and it's like unattainable. And it's like, whoa, like what happened to all these house prices? So it's even there's probably places further out that are soon going to be like up and coming, and great for investment, probably build like unis around there, and stuff will start happening. And that's why we kind of keep our eye on the ball of different areas, like what's happening in this area. I heard they're building like a big sort of Disney like park, in Kent and stuff like that, to attract like
yes,
tourism.
I
Yeah,
heard
just
that as
kind of
well. Yeah.
you keep your eyes kind of open and peeled about things. You can be like one of the first among a group of people to do something that others thought was probably quite silly when you were about to do it. So yeah, I think properties is such a great way to invest.
But then, obviously you have 2 businesses and you also work. Has there been, a time whilst you were kind of handling all of these where there was like a discouragement, or someone discouraged you, or there was an opportunity that you wanted but it didn't end up happening, and then all of a sudden it kind of flipped and turned into something even greater? I know that's a loaded question, but I'm sure you can answer.
It sounds like those interviews. Like, have you ever failed at something and
Yeah.
done well? Oh gosh. Well, I guess for me, before when I had my son a couple of years ago and I returned to work, because my work mindset was very like just work hard, do as best as I can, and even when I come back from maternity, I don't want them to have like any like pity, or like, oh, let's not give her too much to do, she's probably not going to be able to handle it. I kind of wanted to come back as the same person. I was like, I can still do things, I'll be okay. And I really told myself all these sweet stories. But the reality was that when I came back to work, it was really, really tough. And people would be like, are you going to go back part time? I'll be like, no, 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 I'm just going back Monday to Friday. I'll sort things out and I'll just go back as normal. And it's like I kept brushing everything under the carpet, like everything's fine, until it really, really wasn't fine. And I guess you're going back to work, so you kind of see that when I went back, it was so difficult for me. Just even dropping him off to his grandparents, then finally parking, just parking somewhere, and then getting on the train and then getting into work. I felt like I had already done a full shift before I even got to work, and I was trying to do that Monday to Friday. And I just kind of broke down about the whole thing. And I just remember opening up to my manager and just being like, look, this is really tough. And I don't really know why I decided to come back full time. I don't know why I decided to even come back. Like I was
You're actually scaring me because I'm going back in like 2 weeks. So I
yeah,
guess
oh
something
my
to
gosh.
prepare for.
But I'm sure you won't be as no, because I think now people would know, like when you come back, it's such a big change. Come back with a bit more flexibility. Whereas I kind of came back like as if I had never left, like on Monday to Friday, just as usual, 9 till 6, like just. And it didn't really work for me, and it was a really discouraging time, because I started to think, people have many kids at work, and how do they do it? I mean, I started to think I can't handle the situation, or what's happening. Like, maybe this is not for me. And telling my manager about it and saying to him like maybe I can go part time or what's my options. He was also saying, look, don't be too hard on yourself. You've had such a big change and etc. So I kind of asked him something that in those days was very rare. People didn't really do it as much. And I guess now they're kind of doing it a lot more frequently. But I asked him, is it possible for me to work from home 2 days a week? So it's a little bit cheeky because nobody really was doing that. And working from home, your productivity is a bit different because you can't meet people face to face, and that's a big part of my role. So he had to think about it, and he said yes. He said yes, you can do that, and we'll be happy to support you in any way. We'll get you the equipment that you need so that you can be set up from home. And he was just really, really supportive, and that was really, really helpful for me. But that discouragement and that time of when I thought I couldn't do anything and maybe I should just stop trying to do so many things because I can't manage it. It was an opportunity used because those 2 days that I worked from home was when I was most able, most productive to do the things that I really liked doing and the things I had such a great passion about. So instead of the commute, which is about 2 hours for me in the mornings, instead of that commute to work, home, to work and from work, those 4 hours were saved, and I was able to use them to focus on like my business ideas and things that I wanted to do. And that would be when I would send emails, make calls, meet up with couples, do certain things. Like I was able to do that in the time that I would have spent just kind of going to work and traveling and stuff like that because of the distance. So I was able to turn it around instead of kind of being too sunken into the low period where I was thinking about reducing my hours, maybe not going back to work and stuff like that. I kind of just felt, how else could I use the time to maybe focus on things that I do like, because that also helps your mood and how you feel when you're able to do stuff that you enjoy. You can express yourself, and that was really helpful for me. So just kind of taking like a chance in asking to do something that wasn't traditionally done. And now fast forward a couple of years, 2.5 years later, working from home where I am is very common now. People do it quite a lot and have a lot of like things in place. Some people have a weekly arrangement and stuff like that. So I was just really happy that I was able to just ask what seemed to be a silly question at the time is now something very, very normal now. People are living further out, asking to work from home, and it's saving everybody lots of time and money, employers and employees. So I'm just happy I didn't like get too hung up on the discouraging point of it, and I was able to make something out of it. So it gave me a
But
bit of time.
do you know what? It's true because sometimes you just have to be bodacious and just ask. I think sometimes even I think as women, I was actually talking about this to someone. As women are scared to ask for like time off sometimes and ask for pay rises. To say, I'm worth more, I need more, and you see their male counterparts. There's so many guys in my workplace that work from home. Why do they need to work from home? Like, no, these people, they have no family, they don't have kids or anything. Just they work from home because they want to work from home. They want to have that balance where they don't are not constantly coming to work. So many people ask for pay rises, ask for bonuses, and they get it. And I feel like sometimes as women we get scared, but you don't, when you don't ask, you don't get. And sometimes when you actually are a valuable employee, they will do anything they can to make sure that your time at work is easy, and they want to give you that balance as well, that work-life balance. So even
Yeah,
me,
no,
I've become so bodacious, and I'm like, when I was going back to work, I was I wanted to go back full time because I really enjoy my job and I enjoy the company, and they do provide amazing flexibility. But for my role, I needed to be in the office, meeting people face to face, and it was hard to kind of find a day where I could be at home and not be in the office. But I had to just ask, because I'm just like, I don't want to be commuting, like you, an hour and a half. Sometimes during rush hour or when the trains are on strike, it might take me 3 hours to get home. I don't want to be doing that every day. So I need to ask. And when I asked, I got it. And, it does give you the opportunity to pursue other passions.
yeah, exactly. And you realize how precious time is because those 2 hours, hour and a half that we're talking about, if you actually add that all up in a week, you could actually sit there and do something really, really productive with that time. And I didn't really realize that until I was given the time to actually do it because I was just commuting, I was doing the drop offs, the pickups, I was doing so much. But when I was given the time back because I'd asked and said, can I be at home? I didn't use the time to have like lie-ins, like, okay, so now I'm just gonna like wake up at 9 and then I can just get things done. Lie-ins are difficult anyway with young ones, but I was able to use the time to do things that I wouldn't have been able to do. And then you realize how precious time is, and how valuable it is. And you can just use it to just literally make dreams and stuff come true that you've been thinking about. And you kind of get that time back so that you can work on your craft and things that you like. So you do have to be bodacious sometimes, but it is
Yeah.
scary as a woman in the workplace. There's so much stigma, put so much pressure on
Yeah.
ourselves.
But look, you made your, your passions and your desires come true, and you're doing it, successfully and well. And you've just been, I'm so happy to have you on a podcast because I liked your honesty and the way that you're just sharing everything. And it's something to learn. Even I didn't realize how much we had in common in terms of our upbringing.
I know. I didn't know you
But
started off at McDonald's.
Bruv, everyone. I mean, there was a time in church that everyone was coming to church today in McDonald's outfits. I think it was like Abraham was working at McDonald's. You were me. Yes, McDonald's is it's a humble beginnings.
It's the place to be, isn't it?
Place to be,
Yes.
definitely. But before you go, because I know you were mentioning at the beginning of the podcast that your mom really instilled saving and that kind of aspect in your life, and that made you the woman you are today financially. What values do you think you'll be instilling on your kids in terms of, having a work and having a business or an entrepreneurial mindset, as well as having a family?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, my mom definitely is like save, 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 save. So that's at the forefront of my mind. So I do get that it is key, I guess, what us parents have to say to our kids, because they don't forget it. Words do stick around. For such a long time. I mean, we learned that nursery rhyme about sticks and stones may break my bones and words will never hurt me, but it's so not true, isn't it? I mean, words is what actually lasts in our mindsets. And I guess for me, I would really want my kids to know that, or be able to try and teach them that the world is basically their oyster, like literally, and how cheesy it sounds. But I think growing up, I had like this sort of regime where it's like you study, then you go to university, then you do this, then you do that, and it's all quite ordered. And when you look at people who are very successful and those who have made such a difference in the industry, you'll find that they don't really have structured patterns all the time. They may not have gone to university. They may have been like the college dropout, or they may not have enjoyed being in education or in any kind of structure, but they had a passion and a talent, and they were able to just like push it forward. And so I think that's what I want my kids to know. I don't want them to feel like they have to do anything in a particular order. I want them to know that if they're excited about something, if they have a passion for something, and they can most definitely go for it, and there's nothing that should be able to stop them from doing that. And university, yes, I went, but it's not for everyone. And I want my children to be able to like grow the things that make them happy, make them excited, but at the same time, financially will keep them stable. There's so many funny quotes, like not funny, but famous quotes about stuff like it's better to have, like a steady income than to just have fascination about what you could be earning. And that's why I would love to teach them that balance. Like have a passion, have a goal, but always, we want you to have the right setup so that your passions and your goals you can help to drive them forward, and you're not just going to be like fascinating about them. But most definitely the world is their oyster. Like they can do so much, and they don't have to stick to a structure or go through particular different hoops that are set before you. You can just kind of do things in the way that you would like to do them, so that you can make a difference in this world with your ideas or what your passion is. And yeah, I wouldn't put any pressure on them to do things in the way that I've done them, so that they can really express and be themselves.
I think that's exactly what I'll teach my kids, 100%. Because even now, this I think they have so much opportunities now. Let alone when my kids are, 18 or whatever. What opportunities will be for them then? Like, but, back in the day, you needed to go to university. I think before you even got a proper job, they needed to ask you what degree did you have. Whereas now, like, who asks anymore? Like, no one even asks you what you get into college. So I think I'll tell them the same thing. Like, the world is your oyster. Whatever you want to pursue, you can achieve. As long as you just put your mind to it and you work hard and you stay true to yourself, you can do it. You can achieve anything. But thank you, Naomie. Oh, you've been amazing guest. See, it wasn't that scary after all, was it?
Oh gosh, it was terrifyingly
No, it
scary,
wasn't. What are you
honestly.
talking about? You were like talking. You're so natural. You were sharing everything. It wasn't scary. But thank you so much for being on this podcast. I really, really appreciate your time. And thank you all for listening. Next week's episode is going to be the last episode of this series.
No.
So yeah, we've interviewed, 10 amazing women. So next week's episode is going to be the last episode. We'll be talking all things work and motherhood with another special guest. And I'm so grateful for everyone for taking the time out to really listen to all the podcast. It was literally because of you guys that I was able to even do the second series. I was contemplating whether to do it or not, but then I got so much people asking me to do it. So anyways, I'm really, really grateful for your support. If you haven't listened to the previous ones, make sure you go back and listen to them. There's amazing nuggets to be learning from each episode. And yeah, we'll hopefully be back for season 3 next year, 2020. So it should be exciting. But yeah, thank you all so much for your time listening. Make sure you subscribe. The podcast is available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, on Podbean, and on SoundCloud. And make sure you subscribe so you can get alerts when we have new episodes and new things coming out. If you want to find me on Instagram, you can find me at victoria.dele. You can also find Naomie and her businesses on Instagram. You can have a look at her Christians Games Night. You got game on Instagram at you_got_game. You with a letter U rather than the word. And also her wedding and events company, Platinum Events Planning. You can find them on Instagram at Platinum Events Planning _.